Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Redneck video. Again, my name's Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to raise your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, or even a spare room in your house if that's what you want to do. Today's going to be a work day for me. I've got to do some work in the garden, get their garden beds ready. I should have done it in the fall, but you know, I say that every year. I should have done it in the fall, and then I always wait till like early spring. This is late February. It's not really spring yet, but it's close. And we got probably, you know, another month, well, another two and a half months before I'm going to really be planting out most of my stuff. So it's still okay to go ahead and get it done today, or taking advantage of some great weather. I figured I'd start this video off though showing the baby rabbits how they're progressing, because I did have a few people that wanted to see updates as they're going. They're right at 2 weeks old right now. They're getting in and out of the nest box. They're all over the cage, a little bouncy, a little jumpy right now. A little bit skittish, so they're kind of hiding from me right now. But let me bring the camera in close. We'll give you an eye of what they look like. Like I said, right about 2 weeks old right now. And it's really just been the last day or two that they've started really moving around, getting out of the nest box. They've kicked a lot of the straw out, so now it's all down on the ground. But so far, they're doing great. Let me bring you in close. We'll get a better look at them, hopefully. Okay, right now, most of them are out of the nest box. Let me see if I can open this cage up. Maybe we can get them to come up to the front and give us a view. We got one sitting in the nest box right there. Oh, come here, buddy. See if I can get a hold of him. They're a little jumpy right now, a little squirmy, a little nervous, don't want to be handled too much, but that's okay. There we go. Oh, they are cuties. Oh, calm down, calm down. Calm down. He's a little cutie right now. Just getting going. But so far, doing great. Let's move this nest box over. There we go. There's the rest of them back there in the corner if you can see them. One little blue, one of the little black ones ran over here behind the nest box. One blue bunny, we got 4 blacks and 1 blue. Now they're on this side, now they're on that side. I'm making everybody nervous. I should probably quit doing this, and I gotta be careful because they'll jump right out of the cage if I'm not careful. But let's get that nest box back up in the corner a little bit. They have no problems getting in and out of the nest box. And there's Mama. You're doing okay. You're doing okay. But anyway, so you can see them, they just go right over the sides, and they don't care which direction. They just go everywhere, all over the place. They're doing great. All right, well, it's kind of hard to show them because, like I said, they're a little squirrely right now, and getting in there, I don't want to pester them too much. I need to get out and handle them a little more so they get used to it, but at the same time, I don't want to really panic them, especially with the camera in the way and all that. It's kind of hard to do. So hopefully you got a good shot of that. You got to see how they're doing. First things I'm going to be doing for the garden, I'm going to be scooping out most of this rabbit manure that's underneath these hutches, and then I'm going to go lay that on my beds. And the compost facility here locally, for some reason, they've changed their hours. They're only open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. That's what the sign said on the gate when I went over there yesterday anyway. So, that makes it tough because I've got a job. I work Monday through Friday. I can't get over there and get compost. But I'm going to try to call them up and see if I can work out something where I can get some compost from them on a weekend to Saturday or something like that. Lay that down on the beds as well. Just a couple of inches of compost. And really with some rabbit manure and some compost, that's all I need. I could probably get away with just rabbit manure, but I like the extra compost in there just to be sure. I do have a couple of compost piles back here that I have not been doing a very good job of maintaining, but I'm probably going to go ahead and turn those today as well. And see what kind of compost I can get out of there. It won't be anywhere near enough, but maybe I can get some anyway and at least get a start, get one row completely done and covered back up. So anyway, we'll get to it. I got my wheelbarrow here, my shovel. I'm just going to start shoveling some manure. It's not really going to be a super exciting video, but I'll give you a little bit of a shot of it anyway. Let me get going. Now, I know you probably can't see this ground here to be hard to show on camera, but I've got an armadillo, and he's been coming through here and just tilling this stuff up, so it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for me to get the rabbit manure. I want to get most of the vines and stuff out of there because I don't want those in my garden, but anyway, he's been tilling it all up for me, which is not really all that helpful, but it'll be okay. This kind of viney stuff is what I'm talking about. I don't want to introduce that into my garden. And I got some rocks too. I don't necessarily need the extra rocks. Thanks to the armadillo for digging those up for me. But I've got a rock pile over there. Those can all go in. So anyway, for a few minutes here anyway, I'm just going to be shoveling manure. So I don't guess you need to watch me doing this. Just going to shovel it up, take it over, and dump it on the garden beds. So I think I'll, that's mostly dirt. I don't need extra dirt. I think I'll just shut the camera off for a few minutes, get this done, and then bring you back whenever I move on to the next step. All right, well, I got the manure spread on the garden. I didn't actually show that because I had the neighbor's yappy dog out there. And if I take the camera over there on the garden, whenever I'm in the garden anyway, that dog's just yip, 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 yip the whole time. So I didn't want to show that on camera and have that noise all distracting. I know it's been an issue in the past, so I just avoided taking the camera over there while I was doing that. But anyway, here's what I did. Shoveled out all the manure I could get out from underneath the rabbit hutch. It was really only enough for one row of my garden, about a little over maybe 2 wheelbarrows full. I don't know how do you say that, but anyway, yeah, I got 2 of them and spread that out over one of the garden beds, and then I went ahead and got some quail manure from under the quail hutch and spread that out pretty thin across the other 2. Now, quail manure is pretty hot manure. Rabbit manure is a cold manure, so you can use that fresh on your plants, no problem. Quail manure really is like chicken manure. It's a hot manure. It really needs to be aged because it can burn your plants. And by burning, it means it's just nitrogen overload, basically, and cause them to look like they're burned. But I've got 2.5 months roughly. It's been collecting under the quail hutch for a long, long time anyway, so it's kind of aging right there. And then I got about a little over 2 months before I'm going to be planting into it. So I'm thinking it's going to be fine. I didn't go real thick. I just laid it over the top. I'm not going to till it in or anything like that. And I think that's going to be fine. I'm not too terribly worried about that. So now I'm going to work on getting these 2 compost piles turned. My plan is, like I said, I've been kind of neglecting them. I haven't done a real good job of, I throw some extra stuff in there occasionally, but haven't really done a good job of really focusing on these. I don't expect there's a whole lot of compost in here. This one over here, I can still see, there's a whole bunch of sticks and things at the bottom of it. So they're not breaking down very fast because they're full sticks. I haven't been turning it or anything. But there is a little bit of compost in it. So I'm going to go ahead and combine them into one compost pile, I think, and then start my new pile. So this is pretty easy to do, really. Well, pretty simple to do. It's a little bit of manual labor, but it's not terribly complex or anything. I'm not going to do anything more than just, I'm going to take this wire cage off this pile. I'm going to move it right here. And then get the stick out of the way. And then I'm going to take whatever compost I can. I've got a sifter right here so I can sift it out a little bit. Probably not necessary, but it'll get some of the bigger chunks out. And then whatever's left over goes back into this cage. I'll do the same thing with that one, back into the one cage. And then move the other empty cage over here. And that'll be a start for a new compost pile while that one breaks down. So anyway, let me... I gotta get this thing taken apart. It's just kind of hooked together. I gotta figure out, there it is, right there. Oh, right at the top, no wonder. I was wondering why I couldn't get it to move. Hair pliers make this a little bit easier. And there we go. So like I said, there is a little bit of compost, especially down in the middle and at the very bottom. The tops, I mean, it's not going to look like much at the top and around the edges because it hasn't been turned much. That's okay. And then the new compost pile will sit right here. And then I'll move the brand new one that's empty over where this one was, and just kind of rotate them around as I go, basically. And get this thing put back together. From last year when I had extra compost, I just kind of threw it right over here in front of these compost piles, so I might as well shovel a bunch of that up too. I'm getting compost, so might as well take that. And it doesn't matter if I get a few sticks or leaves in there with it, that's not going to hurt anything at all. That about does it for the, excuse me, for the compost that's on the ground. Might as well go dump this, I guess. So let me do that, I'll come back, and then I'll start on turning these compost piles. And this is just gonna go, I'm just gonna dump this compost right on top of that rabbit manure. Try to get it 1/4 inch thick, somewhere right around in there. That'll be plenty. So let me go get this done. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Well, like I said, there was actually a little more than I thought there was there. I need about probably 2 more wheelbarrow full. And that'll finish out that 1 row. But so I'm going to sift some of this stuff out on the top because it's got a lot of big clumps in it and stuff. And this sifter is just nothing but a piece of 1/4 inch hardware cloth, and it's spread out or stapled to a 2x4 frame. But it'll help me get a few of these bigger chunks out. Of course, some of these, I can just pick them out and throw them in there. Might as well do that, huh? Probably blocking most of your view, aren't I? There's actually, looks like a decent amount here. Kind of surprised. It did better than I thought it did. Sifting it like that gives me a chance to get out like pieces of plastic like this and stuff. So. does make a little more work, but it does help me to get out a lot of the bigger chunks and stuff. All right, I don't guess you need to watch me do this whole thing. So, already out of breath. Getting old's fun. Well, I don't guess you need to see me do the whole thing. I mean, you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Just taking the big chunks that are still not broke down, throwing them back in this pile right here. You know, a few of those chunks and things aren't going to hurt anything, but I want this stuff to be a little bit finer, to be a little bit easier to work with. So I'm going to sift a little bit of that, get this pile all the way down, and then I'll do the same thing with the pile behind it, basically. And then I'll bring you back before I'm all through, but turn the camera off for a little while because it's just more of the same. Well, I got one compost pile completely gone through, turned. It was actually better than I thought. I mean, it was mostly compost. You can see got a little bitty pile right there that was what was not completely broke down that I needed to go ahead and throw over into the other pile, and then I'll go through this one, and the same thing, all the stuff that's not broke down from there will go into here, create a new pile for me, and then I'll start building a new one right there. But actually better than I thought. I got almost like, I got about 3 wheelbarrows full, I have a hard time with that, of compost out of that, enough to finish one whole row of the garden. So I'm going to take a break from turning the compost. I've got one more, pile to go through, but I don't think there's going to be as much in that one. It's got a lot of big sticks in the bottom. I don't think are broke down at all. But I'm going to take a break from that and go get my landscape fabric put down over the garden bed. And then that one row is completely done and ready to plant into whenever I get ready to plant. That'll be the row where my tomatoes and peppers and things are growing in there. Anyway, we got the neighbor's yappy dog out. So I'll try to take you guys along with me, maybe catch a break from the yappiness to do some filming while I'm doing this. All right, let's get to it. All right, we'll see how much of this I can get done before the dog starts yapping. But this is the garden bed that I've got done. You might be able to see this one right beside me just a little bit. That's just got a light layer of quail manure over it. So this one I put down pretty decent amount of rabbit manure, and then pretty good amount of compost on top of that. And then I'm just going to lay my landscape fabric that I use out over the top of this. It's got holes in it where I can plant the plants, and then staple it in place. There's the yappy dog. Hopefully it's not too bad. But this isn't really anything terribly difficult. It's just, I'm just going to lay it out and kind of center it on here. I'll put a couple of staples down here just to hold it down so it doesn't blow around while I roll it out, and I roll it all the way down the row so I can make sure I keep it straight as I go. But only thing I can tell you, if you're going to do this, make sure you get good heavy-duty stakes. Don't use the cheap ones. They will not work. So the difference, there's the kind that you get. See, I can hold that up. There's the kind that you get at most box stores. These are good heavy-duty ones, much bigger, thicker, and longer, and they do a much better job. So let me get this started, and then we'll see how far I can get before the dog runs us off, because I'm sure that when I work down to the other end, that dog's going to start yapping nonstop. Super annoying. Should be enough to hold it. Let me get this rolled out, and I'll be back with you. All right. Well, I got it laid out. So there's nothing left to do now but just go through and put some staples in it. Staple it down about every, I don't know, 4 feet or so. Should be plenty. And then just try to keep it straight as I go, basically. And some of those you can just push in by hand. So anyway, that's all I'm going to do is work my way down this row, stapling it down and smoothing it out, stretching it out as I go, trying to make sure I cover all the bare ground so I don't have a problem with weeds whenever, you know, spring finally kicks in. And that's it. I mean, this is a little bit of work initially to get set up, but the fact that it suppresses all the weeds, I don't have to do any weeding throughout the year, nothing. This is great. This is a fantastic way to do it. And you can see I've got the holes here for my, like, these are where my tomatoes are going to go. Peppers down on the other end. Neighbor's dog's starting to get a little yippy, so it's probably time for me to go ahead and finish this video out. I am going to go ahead and turn that other compost pile, get as much compost off it as I can, and try to get another row done. But I don't know if I'll get that all done today or not. So anyway, we'll just wrap it up here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, God bless.